Good afternoon and welcome to today's construction clinic. For those of you who haven't joined us before, it's a 30-minute Q&A hosted by the ICCP and two panelists from our Executive Steering Committee. My name's Nina and I'll take you through a brief housekeeping presentation, excuse me, an introduction to the Institute, and then we'll get started with today's questions. Just a reminder before we get started, all of your microphones are in mute mode, and if you do have a question for our presenters today, you should see a question box on your control panel, so feel free to send them through there. Okay, so for those who haven't heard of us before, what is the ICCP? Well, we are a professional members organisation and we recognise those with skills, qualifications and expertise in the professional management of claims. We have three main objectives, and those are to establish international professional standards for the management of claims, to give recognition to those who have gained the appropriate knowledge and experience in the management of claims, and also to help and educate those who would like to gain this experience. Membership, we have three main membership levels: associate, member and fellow. I won't go into all the requirements for each level, but enough to say that each level has a certain set of prerequisites which should be met in order to gain entrance at that level. And we also offer concessionary fees to those residing in certain countries, which would be a 50% concession on all fees. And actually, if you look in your control panel, you'll see a handout section there. And today we've actually included the list of countries which are eligible for those concessions. So if you are interested, please download it and have a look. Your country might be listed there. Okay, we have quite a few people new to the sessions today, so we thought it'd be a nice opportunity to just briefly go over the benefits of membership. First and foremost, industry knowledge. All members have access to a private members area, which includes downloadable content, articles, papers on contractual matters and claims. There's also education, training and bookshop zones, and those you can search and compare higher education courses, search and compare training courses coming up in your area, and also search and compare the latest industry book releases. One of the most valuable benefits of membership, our members tell us, would be practical templates. So again, hosted in your members area. These have been created to help refine your claims administration and management skills. At the moment, I think we have around 20 templates listed, but some of those included a full claim document, prolongation cost calculations, notices, document databases, templates for your daily site reports and more. And these are all available to download and use on your projects. Then we have monthly CPD webinars, very similar to this one. They're delivered by industry experts. It's a mixture of our fellows and experts within the construction community. All members earn CPD for those sessions and a certificate of attendance. And if you're unable to attend live, all of the recordings are hosted in the members area for you to access later. We also offer savings, so Claims Class, the ICCP's official training partner, there's savings on all training courses through Claims Class. There's also routes to membership through Claims Class training. So if, for example, you joined it as an associate through Claims Class courses, you'd be eligible to upgrade to member on graduation. Savings on books, 25% and 15% from Wiley and Routledge. Both are industry leaders and publishers and offer an array of titles to do with contracts, commercial matters and claims. And then we have our monthly newsletter, a roundup of industry news and of course the latest developments with the Institute. And then some of the smaller benefits, if you like, industry exposure. All members are listed publicly on the website, so this comes in handy whenever perhaps you're going for a new job opportunity and the prospective employer would like to verify your membership. And then, of course, you have your certificate and membership logos, which we encourage everybody to download and post on their email signatures, LinkedIn profiles to highlight the fact that you are a member and have been recognised for your skills. So if any of that appeals to you and you'd like to learn more, please visit the ICCP website. You can also contact me. My email address is on your screen there. Happy to take any questions and provide more information. Okay, so on to today's panelists. We're delighted to welcome back Lee Spall and Mark Watson. Lee is a planning and delay expert. He holds 30 years experience in the construction industry. He's currently director at Curry & Brown in the UAE. And in addition to many professional qualifications and memberships, he's also a fellow of the ICCP and steering committee member. Then we have Mark Watson, who's self-employed construction claims practitioner, delay analyst, expert witness and mediator. And in addition to his many qualifications, he's also an ICCP fellow and steering committee member. So I'm now going to hand over to Mark, who's going to take the first set of questions today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the ICCP's Construction Clinic. My first question is from Richard Kerr, and Richard asks, where notice to proceed physical construction activities is required for the contractor to commence, what should the notice contain in order for both parties to be satisfied? Richard, this depends upon the provisions of specific conditions of contract in the first instance. However, because your question does not reference a specific condition of contract, our response will consider the requirements under the FIDIC 1999 edition Red Book and the FIDIC 2010 edition Pink Book standard form contracts. Turning to the FIDIC 1999 edition Red Book standard form contract, subclause 8.1 provides that the engineer's obligation is that he gives the contractor not less than 7 days notice of the commencement date. In addition, subclause 1.3 only requires that the notice must be in writing and transmitted using any of the agreed systems of electronic transmission as stated in the appendix to tender. However, I often find that contractors are reluctant to commence work because they are not satisfied with the access they were given to the works. Normally, a contractor will plan for full access, and when the work starts, only given partial access, and this becomes a bit of an issue during the course of the actual project. I already refer to subclause 2.1, right of access under the 1999 edition Red Book. That subclause provides that the contractor's access to commence his works may not be an exclusive access. So in this instance, not exclusive access means the employer and the engineer can grant you partial access. Therefore, the contractor has an obligation to commence the works as soon as it is reasonably practicable after the commencement date, even if his access to the works is non-exclusive. What can be deemed reasonably practicable is subjective, and we will not get into that discussion now. That's for our later clinic. So in the circumstance where the contractor has non-exclusive access, the contractor has obligation to demonstrate that he suffered delay and or incurred additional costs as a result of that non-exclusive access. To that extent, the Red Book does not require the notice to contain any specific wording or condition precedent requiring the parties to be satisfied. Okay. However, the FIDIC 2010 edition Pink Book standard form contract has certain specific requirements that need to be satisfied before work can commence. These requirements are found under subclause 8.1, commencement of works. And that subclause 8.1 provides that the project cannot commence unless the contract has been signed by both parties, the contractor has reasonable proof that the employee can fund the project, and the contractor has received any advance payment to which he is entitled. Under the Pink Book, the notice should confirm that these conditions have been satisfied, and where these conditions are not satisfied, the contractor may refuse to commence work. My second question is from Christian Groskopf, and Christian asks, It presents a scenario, a greenfields construction of a hydropower project under FEDIC 2010 MBH Pink Book with minimal particular conditions of contract. Work proceeded through the COVID period, but progress has been disrupted in addition to other disruptions as a result of late making available of the site. How do we approach cost claim as a result of COVID disruptions? We have 6 months Look-Ahead program, which excludes all COVID, which can be used as a baseline. But the challenge is still the cost calculation, especially as we do not have strong cost baselines prior to the COVID influence. Last week, I responded to a question submitted by Benito, and I briefly touched on the FEDIC 2010 MBB Harmonized Conditions of Contract, referred to as the Pink Book. However, in order to respond to Christian's question, I believe it is prudent that I first provide a recap on the Pink Book. In summary, the Pink Book, issued at the insistence of the multilateral development banks, the MDBs, can be referred to as a standardized, revised version of the 1999 edition Array Book that the MDBs use on development construction projects they fund. When advancing a cost claim under the Pink Book, there are a couple of key principles one has considered, and these are: number one, that costs do not refer to reasonable profit and only refer to profit because subclause 1.2 provides a profit unless it's indicated otherwise in the contract data is fixed at 5%. Number two, subclause 2.1 that access to the site requires the employer to grant access and possession of the site to the contractor so that the program can proceed without disruption. Subclause 8.1, commencement works, provides again that the project cannot commence unless the contract has been signed by both parties, the contractor has reasonable proof that the employer can fund the project, and the contractor has received in advance payment to which he is entitled. Subclause 8.4, extension of time completion, provides the contractor is entitled to an extension of time for delays caused by the employer's other contractors anyway. In other words, it is not just restricted to those delays caused by the employer's other contractors on the site. Subclause 13.1, the right to vary, provides the contractor is not bound to execute a variation if it would trigger a substantial change in the sequence or progress of the works. Now, the social distancing requirements under COVID-19 could trigger a substantial change in the progress of the works. Similarly, partial access or non-exclusive access could trigger a substantial change in the sequence and progress of the works. In these circumstances, the contractor has an obligation to demonstrate the substantial change in the works, and this is usually done against the 8.3 program. Subclause 13.7, adjustments for changes in legislation. It provides that the contract is not entitled to an extension of time and or costs if they have been already taken into account elsewhere. So, if you're claiming for the disruptions associated with COVID under that subclause 30.1, you would not be able to claim under 13.7 if that was due to a change in actual legislation. You need to choose which one you want to claim under. It's also important to note that the Pink Book has not amended the requirements for the provision of an 8.3 program and progress reports required under subclause 4.21. To that extent, the 6-month Look-Ahead programs that you refer to in the scenario has no bearing on the contract and will be deemed to be an incomplete 8.3 program. In fact, nothing prevents the employer from issuing the contractor a notice to correct under subclause 15.1. This would be my strategy to defend any potential claim from a contractor for an extension of time for completion and additional payment. So those are the clauses you've got to consider when you're preparing a cost claim under the FIDIC Pink Book. Now turning to advancing your cost claim. I often find that contractors use a cost-based method to calculate its disruption cost claim. Now, a cost-based method focuses on using project cost records to provide a comparison between the planned cost and estimated or actual cost for those activities impacted by disruption. The problem with the cost-based method is that it could result in the contractor's claim being rejected on the basis that the contractor submitted a global claim, and the employer could be paying for events for which the contractor accepts liability under the contract. As an example, if your planned cost to execute activity A was $1,000, after the impacts of COVID-19, disruptions associated with COVID-19, your actual cost is $3,000. Now, if you only consider the impacts of the COVID-19 disruptions, and you do not consider that there could have been events prior to COVID-19, then your claim would be for $2,000. Now, if your contractor had a rate of progress issue for the period from the start of the activity to the period just before the COVID-19 issues, in that circumstances, your employer would be paying for the contractor's rate of progress issues. Okay? So you'll always find, or you'll find that a lot of times these cost-based methods are not persuasive enough, and it tends to be dragged out. To that extent, I would recommend a program analysis method to advance a cost claim. Now, a program analysis method utilizes resource-loaded programs, and in those resource-loaded programs, we allocate and track resources, including labor, plant, quantities, and costs over the life of the project. Now, as important as it is, I find that I hardly find properly resource-loaded programs. And that's what makes it also very difficult for people or for contractors to prove or to substantiate the disruption claims. Now, a program analysis method comprises the following tasks. You've got to prepare a detailed time program and method statement as required under subclause 8.3. So you've got to state, this is what I'm going to plan to do, this is how long it will take me, this is how much quantities I'm going to install, and this is my cost associated in terms of that. Okay? You then have to assign a planned budget or planned cost to the various project execution phase activities and the time-related activities. When you do this, you need to be sure that you exclude any provisions for profit. You then revise the program to reflect the actual progress of the works during a specific reporting period. It's important that this historical data is supported by factual records. Now, when you revise the program, you need to ensure that during that specific reporting period, you also consider that the future sequences and durations of the works are reasonable, reliable, and properly logically linked within the software. The reason is to ensure that your time-related costs are a true reflection of the actuals of site. If it's not logically linked, you could get a situation where your completion date would be later, and that would result in an increased time-related cost, or it could be earlier, and it could result in reduced time-related cost. So it's important to consider that factor also, looking at the future of the program. We'll then revise the actual cost data, the quantities, and the resources over the specific reporting period. And again, this is to be supported by factual records. You then use the project records to determine which events cause critical delay or disruption to the works, and then attribute the delay or disruption and the associated cost to the party who accepts liability therefore under the contract. Utilizing this approach in the scenario I gave earlier on, you can then allocate and say, because of the contract active progress, this costs to the contractor, and because of the disruption events attributed to COVID-19, these costs are attributed to that. Okay? Now, it's a very, very time-consuming process. It's a tedious process, and it's a process that is not always followed by the contractors. But the benefits of following this process is huge. It's important. It's huge. It will assist in your claim, getting a claim through, and assist in reviewing the claim, and it's a lot more persuasive in other documentation. My final question is from Ray Wong, and Ray asks, we understand that the standard of proof is on a balance of probabilities, while the contract administrator of my project has requested me to provide an invoice or proof everything we have claimed. What is your suggestion on this? What should we do to prevent this to happen with the next job? This is particularly difficult in claiming indirect costs. What is the typical information necessary to be recorded on a daily report such that we can have sufficient information for writing a claim? I'm going to split this question into two parts. And the first part is the balance of probabilities and the standard of proof. Now, again, I refer you to your contract. And I'm going to talk, there's no contract provided yet. I'm going to talk about the 1999 edition FIDIC Red Book. And you can get the 1999 edition FIDIC Yellow Book also. The contractor is required to retain all such documentation that can substantiate his claim. So it's not based on the balance of probabilities, it's based on what my actual cost was, and if I can substantiate that. So it's always important that you substantiate everything. When it comes to indirect costs, there are a number of formulas that can be used to calculate indirect cost claim. And it's important that the parties address and agree on those formulas up front, so there is no dispute or arguments around it later on. But it is very important that you retain all documentation to substantiate your costs and your claim. Okay? And then the second part of the question is, what is the typical information necessary to be recorded on a daily report? Again, I think I spoke about it in response to Christian's question. Documentation. You got to record the weather. You got to record the delays. You got to record events. You got to record instructions. You got to record disruption to the works. You got to record any variation instructions to the works. The more records you have, the better it supports or substantiates it. The better it is for you when you submit it to one claim. So I can never stress, and again, your progress is one thing, another record. But again, your progress need to be substantiated by factual historical data. Your costs incurred need to be substantiated by factual historical data. That's all my questions. Now I hand you over to Lee. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. Hello, everyone. Afternoon. Good evening. Don't think there's anyone morning time. Right. Almost out of time. So, okay. The question I've got is from Patrick. And he asks, FIDIC 1999, an engineer insists a particular scheduling program, although not stipulated, and then proceeds to assist the contractor in preparation of the program, claiming that it is the contractor's program. How does this influence any subsequent claim for EOT? Okay, so a few questions back, and that would be, did the contractor agree to this collaborative approach? If he has done, and working with the client engineer, you have produced this program, did you then use that program throughout the project? So all the updates are based on the program that you worked together and produced. If so, then you obviously don't have any other program. that you've submitted or are using to update. So any EOT claim would be based on that one single program that you've worked together on. I have seen this before where engineers get involved. It's all an engineer gets involved in the program because for his benefit, not for yours. So be aware of what he's doing. Raise your hand and say you disagree, but don't go along with it. And then at the end of it, then say, no, sorry, I don't agree anymore, because you have been working collaboratively together in producing that program. So I hope that answers it, Patrick. And that's my questions for today. So I'll go back to Nina and see if there's anyone online that wants to ask a question.
Thanks, Lee. No live questions through yet. If anybody has any questions, please send them through the question box. I think this is the first time in a while we've not been inundated and we've actually managed to get to some live ones. So let's use the time. We've got about 5 minutes left. If anyone wants to send any questions through. Just whilst we're waiting, a couple of announcements. The construction clinics, we've been delighted to host them since they kind of started as a response to supporting people, and particularly projects that have been impacted due to COVID-19. And actually, we've really enjoyed delivering them, and it's become a good weekly forum for questions. So the committee's decided to continue them. We'll just be reducing the frequency. So as of July, they'll be happening every 2 weeks instead of every week. But in the same way, you'll get the invitations if you're on our mailing list. If you're not, make sure you sign up. The link will be out in the follow-up email this afternoon. Yeah, make sure you join us in July as well. Right, a couple of questions through. Let's have a look. Okay, we have a question through from Chakrala. I hope I'm saying that right. Chakrala, it's quite a long one. I'm not sure we have time. Let me have a look. Okay, let's have a look. Could you please throw some light on clause 4.12 of the Silver Book 1999? Thankfully, they've repeated included the clause in the question, so nobody's on the spot. 4.12, unforeseeable difficulties except as otherwise stated in the particular conditions. A, the contractor shall be deemed to have obtained all necessary information as to risks, contingencies, and other circumstances which may influence or affect the works. B, by signing the contract agreement, the contractor accepts total responsibility for having foreseen all difficulties and costs of successfully completing the works. And C, the contract price shall not be adjusted to take account of any unforeseeable or unforeseen difficulties or costs. So that's the clause summary. The question is, could COVID-related claims be rejected based on this clause?
Mark, are you there? I'm throwing this at you.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, now the Silver Book is a contract where the risk sits with the contractor. Now, I don't believe that clause 4.12 will include the risk of COVID, because your code will then fall under the force majeure, and it will fall under changes in the legislation. So therefore, this unforeseeable conditions, I don't believe would include the risk of COVID. However, I don't have sight of the particular conditions, and there could be something inside the particular conditions that could dispute on what I'm saying. Without knowing a look at that, I can for sure say, but based on the standard form of contract, I don't believe that that the COVID-19 will fall under that same category. And you need to look at other areas with regards to suspension of works, changing legislation, and also sure. I hope that's answered your question.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, we'll wrap things up there for today. Thank you everybody for joining us, and as I said, do join us. We'll be back next week. That's the 30th of June for the final clinic, and then in July we'll be reducing them down to once every couple of weeks. So look out for the invitations, sign up to our mailing list if you're not already on there, and we'll be in touch with details for registration soon. Any members on the session today, you'll receive your CPD certificate within the next 7 days. So make sure you save that for your records. And thank you, Mark. Thank you, Lee. And we'll hope to see you in again a clinic soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.